opportunity, a growth opportunity.
Good morning, everybody. Latron White. Good morning, Mr. David Jenwright, my man. How you doing, buddy? What are you cooking today? What are you cooking today, David? Tell you what I made last week. Roast duck. We didn't cook anything else with it, just a duck. So my wife comes to me and says, Michael, is there any more duck left? I said to her, she said, I looked at the pan, but I didn't want to open it because I was afraid that there was no more left. So I says to her, yeah, it's all gone, honey. And she says to me, so in other words, you ate a whole duck. So I says to her, I kind of did. It was good too. I'll mute you for a minute here. Good morning, Miss Virginia. How are you doing, ma'am?
It's 8:30. We're going to switch over to Studio B and say good morning to you, Brother Michael Jenkins.
And a good morning to you, Tater. And a good morning to everyone out there. Hope everyone is well today. It's a little chilly out there, but I'm really sick of all this cold, though. I'm going to go ahead and say it, Tater. It's too cold. It's ridiculous. February has been bad. But anyway, so much for the weather. Of course, the basketball season is winding on down to that state championship date a couple of weeks from now. And as we move in that direction, certain cities, certain towns around here are silent. Darlington silent? Yeah, I know, Miss Virginia. I had the sound off. I didn't want to get any copyright problem like I've been having lately. So I turned it down so that my video can be uploaded later. But there are some towns that are basketball-less right now. The city of Marion, one example, boys and girls, both eliminated. The girls went 2 games. They played in Marion last week. Then they went on the road and had their season ended. Marion boys went down to Burke. And obviously played a great game. I didn't go. I was following it. Someone was sending me a feed. And they lost in overtime. Tough loss. But Marion has been up and down all year. And it seems like at the end they kind of got it together a little bit. Almost enough to get themselves to the second round. But it didn't happen. But congratulations on some good things you guys did this year. Marion girls, as I said, they were up and down too, but mostly up. They were pretty good this year. I looked at some scores for Andrew Jackson prior to Marion going down there. I was not feeling very good about that and about their chances when I saw that these girls were killing everybody. So that's it for the Swamp Foxes. Mullins girls. And I want to congratulate them because they have come, as this song just said, from a very long way. They, for the last 2 or 3 years, they've not been good. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that the administration let their feeder programs go away. They let the feeder programs go away. And the result of that was 3 years of agony. But the girls have persevered. They've worked hard. They've gotten better. Someone whom I greatly respect their opinion said to me, Mullins girls could run things in this conference for the next 2 or 3 years. And I believe what this person told me. But their season is over too. And Mullins boys are the only ones left. Mullins boys, okay. I told anyone that would listen during this season, at some point during the season, that Mullins can go. They're good enough to go. After they finished 3rd in the conference, I guess maybe some fans weren't easy. I was a little bit uneasy about them having to play all these games on the road. But I spoke with assistant coach Sean Brunson after the ACA game a couple weeks ago. And he said to me, got to get some great practices in. We got to get in the gym. We'll get it together. I'm paraphrasing. He was right. Because Marion went on the road earlier in the week. Mullins went on the road earlier in the week. And they took care of business. They went to Lake Marion. And they beat Lake Marion and spanked them good, too. It wasn't just a win. They kind of put it to them. So that got them off to a good start in the playoff. But their next mission was go past Santee about 50 miles or so to Charleston. And when you get there, there will be a team waiting. Simmons Academy will be waiting there for you. And I've seen Marion teams over the years go down there and lose. I can't even tell you all the times since that school has been in existence. We always seem to lose down there. So I was a little bit nervous for Mullins. I didn't know what those people had down there. But apparently whatever they had, it wasn't enough. It was a tight game, but playoff games tend to be that way sometimes. You have to be ready for tight games. You have to be ready to play when the pressure is really on. Because I can't think of anything in high school sports tougher in basketball than playoff basketball. A lot of kids don't know what they're going to be faced with when they hit that floor. See, I don't know personally because I never played varsity basketball in high school. So I don't know what it's like to play in a varsity high school basketball playoff game. But a lot of you do. And I see that Mullins is kind of thriving right now. You know, I look at Mullins' roster from top to bottom. And what I meant, they have everything that they need in terms of, they got great guards. They got outstanding swingmen. And they got power inside. Now, these are some of the people inside that has impressed me this year. And you don't hear him talked about, maybe not at all. Amir Lee. He's a big 6'3", 6'4", whatever. Great leaping ability, great tenacity. Tough kid. He can play for me any day. He's one of them. And then you have, what's this other guy here? Oh, well, you got Braden Hughes, but I don't think Braden played. I think he's still hurt. He's been hurt all year. But you got this Crawford guy, number 23, who's really tough. It don't seem like he played a lot last night either. I'm sure he got some minutes, but so he didn't have a great stat line last night. But the people, and I also want to mention, what's this guy's name here? Ernest Ford, senior. He's played well all year for them. But last night, Mullins got this win basically on the strength of outstanding games by their two stars. Deion Ford, point guard, and Dakari Worley. Swingman, point guard, power forward, small forward. Deion, of the 48 points that Mullins had last night, he had 29 of them. 29. I like seeing him when he's playing like that. Great player. Still got another year. 29 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals. And then there's Dakari Worley, who scores big sometimes. But he has picked up the mantle of a guy who goes inside and gets the ball back for his team. Last night, Dakari had 19 rebounds, folks. The team had 33. 19 rebounds, of which 6 of those rebounds were off the offensive glass. He's like a spider inside. He jumps quick. He's got ups. He's tough. He's a sophomore. So, oh, by the way, I do have to mention this. Dakari was selected All-State. He's All-State. Sophomore. The first time I seen him was last year in a holiday tournament game against Darlington. And I didn't know who he was. And even though Mullins was losing that game, he showed some things. He showed them to me, and his coach took notice too, because he wasn't really expecting, he didn't know what to expect. But I imagine right now he's pleasantly surprised at what this kid is doing. He's got a future. So Mullins won last night by a score of, what was the score? 48 to something. But where did I even have the score? I think I had some scores here. Where are they? Okay, let me read you these scores real quick. Mullins 48 to 37 over Philip Simmons. Westwood beat Conway, thus eliminating them 46 to 45. Indianland all over easily 92 to 67. Greenville 82, Greenwood 58. Myrtle Beach 36, St. James 35. Catawba Ridge, 49. They lost to Riverside, who had 63. Burke eliminated, knocked off by Hampton County, 83-40. Goose Creek Gators, 71. Lugoff Elgin, 49. Liberty, 54. Chesney, 52. Berkeley knocked off Irmo, 46-41. And Andrew Jackson eliminated our homeboy, Sean Johnson, and the Manning Monarchs. Gone. 67-55. Andrew Jackson moving on. Berea, South Point, 54-43. South Point is your winner there. And I think that's all the scores I got. Let's take a look at the brackets real quick. First, we will take a look at the. We'll take a look at the 2A boys. How about that, guys? 2A boys, and it looks like Mullins is going to do a third dance with Atlantic Collegiate Academy. They beat him in the first game. They went down there a couple weeks ago. They got beat. But what I know is I seen that first game that they beat Atlantic Collegiate Academy. They handled them pretty much easy. Mullins' problem in that game was they missed a ton of free throws. They made it hard on themselves, and they had to win the game in overtime. Now, I didn't see the other game. I know that those guys are very talented. I know it's going to be a tough task for Mullins. They know it's going to be a tough task. And Atlantic Collegiate knows it's going to be a tough task dealing with Mullins. But, so after Philip Simmons, they beat Lake City. And they will get Mullins next. I think the game is Monday. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. Atlantic Collegiate beat someplace called Bridges Prep. Every week I come on this program, there's teams I had never heard of before. I never heard of Bridges Prep before. Anyway, Andrew Jackson and Manning, of course, Andrew Jackson moves on. They will play. It looks like they'll play Hampton County. Andrew Jackson versus Hampton County. Now, Andrew Jackson is a team that's gotten to the state championship a few times, or at least once or twice, and they always run up against somebody that they can't beat. One day, Andrew Jackson's going to cut the nets down. They got some of the best fans and the best support of almost any school I've seen in the state. Those people show up hollering for their team. So that's lower state action. In the upper state, Strom Thurmond, my favorite senator, not. They will play or have played Liberty. No, Central. Let me see something here real quick. So these games were played yesterday on the 21st. Clinton versus High Point. I'm going to go out on a limb and say High Point won that one because High Point is considered by many to be the team to beat this year. I think they're number one in 2A. They took on Clinton. Baseburg, Leesville, York Prep. Liberty, Chesney. Central, Strom Thurmond, as I said before. Now, we got some other local teams here that are still dancing. Namely, Lady Vikings, ladder. Congratulations to Bobby Richardson on an outstanding job. New coach. But I always knew Bobby knew ball. I knew he could play. But apparently he's a pretty decent coach too. And he's got his team primed. And he's got some talent on that team too. So the combination of his coaching and the pieces that they have makes Latta a threat to cut the nets down. I'd love to see him do it. Of course, there are some people out there that they're going to have to go through, which is expected. If you're going to win, you got to beat who's in front of you, baby. That's all you can do. Dillon girls are also still dancing. And as they go into the Final Four of the lower state, they're playing well. And let's see where they are. I know they just won the other night. Let me see what they got set up for the Dillon Wildcats. Okay. There's Keenan over there. There's Oceanside over there. Oh, boy. Always an academy to go through. If Mullins wins the state championship, they're going to have to go through probably two more academies. But that's life in high school basketball in South Carolina right now. You got to go through these schools, man. I mean, I think the high school league did a decent job of kind of making things a little bit more of an even playing field. But I was thinking about teams from down this way in Class 2A. And I was thinking about how every year it was always great collegiate, great collegiate, great collegiate. You always had to go through them. But, and then you turn around and you look right down in Conway, and they put one of them jokers right in your conference. You know that Atlantic Collegiate is going to get better. And they're very good right now. But they're in your conference now. No longer do you have the luxury of worrying about meeting them in a lower state game like you did with Gray, or a state championship game like you did with Gray. Now they're in your conference. Now you got to beat these jokers. You got to win more games than they do, and you have to win the conference. Mullins didn't do that this year. But you go on the road, you're a 3 seed, you know that you have a task in front of you. I don't think Mullins is under any illusions as to how tough this thing is going to be. Even though they're very good, outstanding even. But you never know how a playoff game is going to go. You could have done great in the last game. The next game comes up, you can't throw it in the ocean. I'm not saying that's the deal with Mullins. I'm just saying every night is different. And then especially when you're on the road, that makes it tougher. So the good thing about this game is that I'm assuming it's going to be played down there. It's close enough where most of us could take a shot at getting there to see it. I intend to. But Dillon girls, Wilson girls, Wilson boys, and Wilson's got a tough one coming up. They got Crestwood. And the guy that coaches Crestwood, Eric Samuels, in my estimation, top 5 coach in the state. Now, let me refresh and make you remember Eric. Do you remember those great teams, those back-to-back state championships that Hartsville had a couple of years ago? He was the coach. And I didn't realize he had left. I mean, I knew he had left Hartsville. I just didn't realize that he ended up at Crestwood. Outstanding coach. They won an overtime game just the the other day to keep themselves still in the conversation. And now they got to take on Josh and the Tigers. That should be a good one. Let me see, when is that one anyway? Let's see, when is that one? Let's see here. Okay. Lower State, North Augusta, Gray Collegiate. That should be a battle. It's kind of crazy because Carlos Powell is down there at Gray Collegiate. Then you got the Tigers and Crestwood. Crestwood won a overtime game 82-75 against Brooklyn Casey a couple days ago. Let's see. So that's the Tigers. I don't know if I pulled up the Lady Tigers. But at any rate, they're in it too. The season has gone by. I guess I felt like it went by pretty quickly. I did not get to see all the games that I wanted to see this year, but I got out and I saw some games and I saw some good talent. Mullins right now, boys and girls, you can expect Mullins boys to be right back here next year. They have underclassmen enough to move this thing forward. Enough key players left to keep this going. But I'm sure they're not thinking about next year. They're thinking about now. They're thinking about Monday night. And this makes me think about 1995, 1996. And of course, all you old timers know exactly what I'm talking about. That was the year that Mullins did not have a home game in the playoff. They started the season, I think, 17-0. Curtis Williams, Cedric Smith, Dewani Fletcher, John Johnson, that whole crowd. Alex White. And that's the year that they had to go on the road because they had the home game. So they went, the first game was down in Columbia. And they played against C.A. Johnson, I think it was. And Curtis Williams had a big game that night. I saw 4 box scores from that game. They all had something different. I had Curtis at 37 that night. So they won that game. And now they have to go back and play Darlington with Brian Scott and that crowd who had just beaten them the week before. Brandon Rouse, that whole crowd. Crazy game. Darlington fans, and I'm not trying to take off on you, Brian, but Darlington fans are some of the most hostile fans I had ever seen. And Mullins went down there and got a win. Knocked off Darlington. Now it's game 3. Just like Mullins boys have right now. It's the 3rd game. And they went back to Columbia to play the, I think, either 3 or 4 times state champ Eau Claire Shamrocks. I get to Columbia. If I didn't have a press pass, I don't get in that game. Luckily, I did. Not any space to be had. Packed. And the people seemed like they had been there for an hour by the time I got to the game. And of course, Eau Claire had future NBA star Jermaine O'Neal. Mullins came in there ready. I mean, everything was clicking. Jermaine O'Neal could not stave off the Mullins auctioneers that night. And thus, it was the end of his high school career. The next game he played was in the NBA. But, so now Mullins has got these 3 wins under their belt. And if you knew what Mullins' team was made of and what the makeup of the team was, you couldn't help but think they're going to cut the Nets down. But some things happened that led up to that 4th game. One of them was their point guard, John Johnson, a couple of weeks before, broke his wrist. Now Curtis Williams and Cedric Smith, Alex White, they had to change their roles up a little bit, even though they were perimeter guys some of the times, but they also played inside. This day, they had to play on the perimeter most of the game. Holly Roberts is, I went to Roberts High School, which became Holly Roberts, but so I picked my son up from daycare. He's 4 years old. Why I took this boy with me, I'll never know. But anyway, I had fun with him. So we get on the road. Taylor, what was the sheriff's name? Billy
Page.
Billy Page. I followed Billy Page to Orangeburg that day. So the great thing is, on that same day, Terrell's Bay girls are down in Claflin. Mullins and Holly Roberts are over at State. Great game. Mullins led, I think, by 15 or 16 at halftime. I was saying, this is cake. But the principal of Holly Roberts was my former little Sunday basketball playing cousin. So I told him, yo, buddy, this game's over. He says, Michael, trust me, it's not over. So to make a long story shorter, Mullins has a 2-point lead. Time running down. Holly Roberts gets the ball into the front court. Kid lets a 3 go. It was like slow motion. Cord. And Mullins lost that day. Anyway, Taylor says that's all the time I have. Good luck, Mullins. Rest of the way. I'll be seeing you. And let's get over to Florence, man. Let's get over to the Civic Center. See what we can do. Congratulations. The boys played well this year, and I'm proud of them. But that's all the time I have, and I'm going to scoot on out of here. Thank you all for joining me. Miss Bessie Skinner, Amari T. Howard, Michael Davis, all of you that joined me today, I appreciate it. I'll be back. Wait a minute. Will I be back next week? State Championships the week after. Yeah, I'll be back next week.
March 1st.
Yeah. The state championship is not until I think the 7th or something like that. But either way, you will be hearing from me. Peace.